Good morning. My name is Jolyn Emrys. My pronouns are she and her, and I will be offering your first winter solstice reflection this morning. On this longest night of the year, we stand at the edge of the world's deep breath. The earth has settled into its winter dreaming. The trees, stripped to bone and silhouette, write dark runes across the sky. Frost glitters like scattered starlight at our feet, and the air itself feels ancient, quiet, expectant, holding a wisdom older than memory. Tonight, darkness gathers not as a shadow to fear, but as a vast velvet cloak wrapped lovingly around the turning earth. As a practicing pagan, I welcome this darkness as sacred. It is the night of nights, the great womb of becoming, the still and holy cradle where the seeds of all future dawns lie hidden beneath the frozen soil. Listen closely. Beneath the hush of winter, the world is whispering. The roots rest but do not sleep. The seeds wait but do not wither. In the depth of this quiet season, everything breathes in slow, deliberate rhythm. This is the rhythm of the great cycle, growth giving way to rest, light yielding to shadow, beginnings tucked gently inside endings. The solstice teaches us that what appears silent is not empty. What appears silent is not empty. In this fertile darkness, our own unspoken hopes gather strength. Our unformed dreams curl like sleeping embers, waiting for the subtle kiss of light to wake them. Tonight, as we kindle candles or awaken the Yule flame, we do not seek to drive the darkness away. Instead, we offer our small flame to the great mystery, acknowledging the sacred partnership of shadow and light. The candle's glow trembles like a star newly born, reminding us that even the faintest spark can hold back the chill of the longest night. Let this flame be the first heartbeat of the returning sun. Let it be the quiet promise that light will come again, slowly, gently, and in its own time. Let it be the warmth that stirs the seeds within us, inviting them to unfurl when the world begins to green once more. On this solstice, may we find beauty in the darkness, nourishment in the stillness, and renewal in the slow turning of the wheel. May we walk out into the long night unafraid, knowing that dawn is already cradled in its depths. Blessed be, and may the returning light find you ready to shine.
Blessed winter solstice. I'm Chelsea Henry. I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of this church and a pagan priestess. I celebrate darkness. I think it is essential to our lives and to all life. We are knit in the darkness of the womb. Seeds sprout in the darkness of the soil. The darkness is where life begins. It is the portal that births what comes next. And before that portal opens and the next new thing quickens into being, well, that's where we rest. We rest in the quiet dark. You know, that place where you can hear your own breath, your own heartbeat even. The ticking of clocks feels loud there. Sometimes even our own thoughts feel loud. That space is sacred to me. It is where I dream my little seed dreams of what I will grow into next. It is where I go after I have dropped all the showy autumn leaves of my latest adventures and returned once again to the underlying structure of my bare branches stretching to the winter sky. The quiet darkness is where I can return to my most basic self. This is when I release my hold on the ambitions that drive me and stand in the present moment more deeply. The darkness is where we rest, where we dream, and where we begin the next cycle. Tonight is the longest night, the most luxurious darkness of the year. This is when we can rest, we can sink into the mystery, we can open our hearts to the unknown, allowing the sparking current of life to plant the seeds of what comes next. In previous years, I have held vigil for the longest night. I have walked candlelit labyrinths and said reverent prayers. I have had visions of the past and the future. This year, the calendar falls so that I can share the solstice with you, my church family. And so I invite you now into a brief meditation that we may hold the darkness sacred together. Take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Notice your body, your feet, your rear. You are held by the gravity of this world. Take a second deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Allow your shoulders to come down away from your ears. Allow the small muscles of your face to soften and your collarbone to broaden. And take a third deep breath and let it out with a sigh. If you are comfortable, I invite you now to close your eyes. Imagine yourself in a cozy nest of blankets, warm and soft. Imagine it is dark all around you. Imagine your other senses opening more fully. Open yourself to the winter night sky, alive with stars. Open yourself to the frozen mud, the kind that crackles and breaks when you step on it. Open yourself to the bare branches connecting that sacred mud to the ancestral stars. Open yourself to the quiet of a resting and fallow earth. There is no hustle here, only peace. There is no frantic worry here, only a restful pause. In this pause, in the darkness, in the sacred mystery of the unknown, there is something waiting to spark into being. It is small and quiet and barely there, mostly made of thought and whisper. Soften yourself in your nest, releasing any remaining tension, and invite this wisp of sacred possibility to join you. You may open your eyes. Thank you. Blessed winter solstice and blessed darkness to you all.
Well, what a challenge this morning to follow two truly wonderful reflections, but I will do my very best for our final reflection today. Dylan Thomas once told us not to go gentle into that good night, but rather to rage against the dying of the light. Of course, Thomas used darkness interchangeably with death, but as powerful as his poetry was, to liken darkness with death only served to underscore a cultural and evolutionary fear of the night. What I love about the celebration of solstice and the ways in which those themes have been woven into our service today is that we are asked to reject that fear so that instead we can, as Jolyn and Chelsea so eloquently expressed earlier, choose to embrace the darkness. As a faith tradition full of members who identify as pagan and non-pagan alike, we honor the darkness at the heart of the winter solstice and appreciate the annual reminder of its importance. Aside from the pagan practices on this night, there is a traditional service held on solstice each year called Blue Christmas, or the Longest Night Service, in which communities like ours open up space to acknowledge the pain that for some accompanies the merriment of the holiday season. Because the solstice is, as Chelsea said, conveniently happening on a Sunday, we will not hold that service this evening, but I do want to pull its intentions into our time together today. Because on the longest night, we are invited not only to rejoice in the beauty of the darkness, but to go to those places within ourselves that embody the dark. The places where we have memories, feelings, experiences that are not always welcome in a light-obsessed world. We have feared the dark because it often symbolizes a hiddenness, a feeling of being unseen or unheard, and thus unknown. Sometimes we want this black cloak wrapped around us tightly. We want to disappear for just a little while and stay hidden and protected. But sometimes that cloak of night separates us from others and intensifies the loneliness that can be found sometimes in this season. Grief, sadness, disappointment, hurt. These emotions are almost always encouraged to be hidden, encouraged to be tucked away like some illness that might spread to others lest they be exposed to it. Everywhere I look these days, I don't know about you, there is sweatshirts and coffee mugs with some variation of the message, good vibes only. May as well be a stop sign reading, do not bring me your whole self. As a result, we nearly trip over the dark to get to the light, trying our best to pretend as though it never existed. But no matter how wonderful our lives are at any given time, the dark does exist, and we do ourselves a disservice when we ignore it or when we refuse to hold it with others. Some of us here today are going through a significant change in our life. Perhaps we are separating from our partners, grieving the loss of a loved one, trying to envision what life after a diagnosis might hold for us, or have lost a job that we loved. Some of us are estranged from our families, or suffering from seasonal depression, or are simply struggling to keep hope afloat in a political and economic climate that feels hostile to us. How lonely to feel we cannot be honest about these things with one another, and so must keep them bottled up inside of us. It is challenging to counter the dominant messaging of merriment by allowing ourselves the time and the space to enter into these dark corners of ourselves where we have squirreled away our unmentionable griefs. Examining these corners that require stillness, vulnerability, quiet, reflection. The longest night gifts us that time and space. It permits us a few more precious moments of darkness to sit together in the truth that life is not always joy and perfection. And in acknowledging this, we grant ourselves and others permission to feel authentically what is in our hearts, to plumb the depths of our spirits and know that we are not alone in doing so. We needn't be afraid of this darkness because it seems to be the case that just as soon as we are ready for it, we are brought back to the light. The longest night is not just about the additional time given to relish the darkness or the places we need to explore inside of ourselves. It is about knowing that the rhythms of our world dictate that tomorrow the sun will rise and we will be bathed in light again. That as assuredly as we will hurt in this life, so too will we be healed. As certainly as we need the darkness of the womb to grow, so too will we one day be born. Dylan Thomas told us that to be brave is to rage against the light. To rage against the darkness. But this night reminds us that to be brave is to embrace the darkness, knowing that it is only from the dark that we then get the light. May it be so. Amen.